BLAPCHAT. Wow, I love that horn. What is it? That's a horn. That's a horn. Do it again.
That?
Yeah.
I don't know. That brings me joy. Like
that brings me joy
it just
too.
brings a smile to my face.
I really like how you do that, boss. welcome to BLAPCHAT.
You're here, baby.
It's been a long time. It's been a while. It's been what, 3 weeks?
Yep, 2.5, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Welcome to BLAPCHAT episode. I don't even really know anymore. Josh, do you know? Is it
81?
81. I think it's 81. Episode 81.
Yes.
I go by the name of Illmind, and you guys know our co-hosts. They couldn't make it today, unfortunately, but we have someone here to fill their shoes. Big shoes to fill. I want to introduce you guys to my guy, Fatherdude. Give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause to all two people in here. Alice, you don't want to clap for him?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Give me a horn and a clap.
Give him a horn and a clap. This is my man Fatherdude, and of course you guys know Atlas the plug over here. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't get a horn, he gets this.
Yes.
He gets that. So Atlas the plug here. Obviously we're missing Perfection and Glam.
Yep.
You know, they're busy right now. They're doing their thing. Mm-hmm. You know, Glam is an artist, one of my favorite artists. Mm-hmm. And Perfection, actually, they fucked up something with her passport, right? So she's like stuck in another country. I'm just kidding. No. She's getting her passport renewed, and they screwed her name up or something. So she's running late on that. But I think she's coming in like a half an hour or so.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So this is BLAPCHAT. This is... I do want to say it's an all music production podcast. Mm-hmm. It's for music creators, music producers. Obviously, I'm a music producer. Mm-hmm. We're all music creators in our own right. My man Atlas the Plug is a songwriter. Mm-hmm. He's also an A&R. He's a dot connector. You know, in the industry. And my guy Fatherdude. Dude, I'm so happy that you can come today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Fatherdude is an artist. He's a singer. He's a songwriter. You also produce as well. Mm-hmm. We used to be in a band together. We worked for many, many years. So it's really cool to have you on the podcast, man, for sure.
Hell yeah.
And you're working on a lot of cool projects right now, too, which we will definitely get into.
Sure.
Here's a fun fact. Fatherdude was in the band, not only with Illmind, but he was also in the band with me.
Yeah, these guys were in the... Remember, guys, for all of our diehard listeners, if you heard our earlier episodes, I think it might have been like episode 1, Atlas, where we're kind of breaking down our history and stuff. Yeah. And Atlas was telling the story of his early days as a singer in a band in the 2000s. And so this guy, Fatherdude, was actually in the band with him. So
he auditioned.
Attest to that. He auditioned.
Fun story. He actually auditioned for the band, and it was between him and someone else, and I was picking the other guy. But then me and Fatherdude end up being like the best of friends, man. Until this day, that's my brother. That's like my guy right there, man. Yeah, for real.
That's like a lifetime,
isn't it?
That's like 3 lifetimes.
You know what's funny about those days, Fatherdude, is like, and you've known me from then, and you know, and seen me now, and like difference. But like back then, I was the guy who was, you know, writing the songs, you know, and coming up with the arrangements and stuff like that. But I was also the guy who like wasn't showing up for rehearsals, you know, like I was so unfocused back then. And, you know, and you know, I'm glad to have you here because you've seen, you know, even for Ill, like from where he was, even to our transitions to where we are now and our growth. So, you know, and you as well, even seeing you being super green, you know, auditioning for my group at the time, you know, and, you know, we would go, Mitch he wasn't even old enough to drink yet. You weren't even, you were 20, right? And
19.
We used to, 19, we used to sneak him into the clubs.
Wow.
In New York when we would go around, you know, and do club gigs. And Fatherdude would be like the guy.
I got some good stories.
He would be like the guy, not to put you on blast, Fatherdude, but he's so different now. You're a rock star, but like back then, he was the guy that was super shy. Yeah. We'd be at a party networking, and he'd have like his back up against the wall, just like, you know, a little awkward.
Soaking in the game, yeah.
Just kind of taking it in, and then like. But then I wanted him to be a little more, to be out there, and I would be like, come on, dude, come on, get off the wall, let's go, like put a smile on your face, like, you know, let's do this, like fix your posture, you know what I mean? And like, and to see him he just developed into what he is now is completely remarkable.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I really want to talk about the process of songwriting and the process of creating a song from scratch. It's funny because on the way here, I was watching on iTunes, I was watching the new documentary that just dropped called Songwriter, and it's with Ed Sheeran. And so basically what happened is Ed had a camera follow him for like the past 10 years, like since 2009, and they captured the entire process of him going from like singer-songwriter underground to then gaining such a humongous fan base and then becoming an amazing songwriter for other people and for himself, a superstar. And like I'm watching it, and shout to Benny Blanco, another producer who produced a lot for Ed, and he's like all over the documentary too. And I'm watching this documentary and I'm like, wow, like the process of songwriting is pretty much the same for everyone, where you're literally, you know, trying to create something from nothing. And sometimes it starts with a piano chord. Sometimes it starts with a guitar medley. Sometimes you're in an Uber and you just have a lyric in your head and it comes out. And I think the beauty about songwriting and creating a song is like it can strike at any moment. You know, there was a part of the documentary where Ed Sheeran was saying like, you know, songs are like very weird things. I think he called them like weird creatures, where they just happen on their own, and sometimes they're great, sometimes they're terrible, right? So I want to get into that a little bit. And I think for music producers, it's a really interesting thing to think about, because I think a lot of early beat makers and bedroom music producers don't get an opportunity to know what it's like to make a song. You know, you can learn FL Studio, you can learn Ableton, you can learn your DAW, you can become really good at making beats, but how do you make a song? And for me personally, a lot of my experience making songs was with you guys when we had the band Smoky Robotic, and we were just making this shit from scratch. And I didn't think it was the right way or the wrong way. It was just kind of us like winging it, right? So for you, Fatherdude, like you've been writing songs for a long time. You're a singer. You also produce music. You know, what was your early process like creating a song, and what is it like now, if it's different or the same? Like, do you come up with concepts first? Do you come up with lyrics? Like, what's your process when you make a song, basically?
I think like a lot of songwriters I've spoken to, the lyrics are usually second, but you know, like there's a melody first.
Melodies first, usually.
But usually in that melody, there's like a phonetical. There's a
syllables.
There's rhythms.
Usually vowels are the biggest thing, because you're obviously getting the length of note from vowels.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that turns into a word that it kind of sounds like. And honestly, I've had a lot of times where I'd be like, and then somebody's like, "Oh, the best of you," like that, or like, "Oh, I thought you said that," and I'm like, "I didn't, but that's great.
Right.
I'm gonna use that." Yeah, like there's so many ways to do it, and you know, like as good as you can get, you know, there's gonna be days where you think you can't write a song.
Yeah. I mean, how often do you guys feel that way? You two, Atlas, like you know, you're a songwriter too.
Yeah.
How often do you feel like, you know, you're sitting there and you're trying to either write to a beat or write a song, and you just feel like, man, what am I doing with my life? Like, I really suck at this. Like, do you guys feel that way sometimes? Because I do when I make tracks.
Listen, there's times where it can come to you like that, you know, like super quick. There are times it might take a little, you know, there are times you're just sitting there like blank. Like, and when that happens, I just kind of just try to back away from it and just kind of like, you know, kind of stop, because once I kind of hit that wall where I can't take it anywhere else, I just kind of take away. And then while I'm doing something else, maybe like the next day, boom, I'll just be walking down the street and it just pops in my head. And I'm like, oh, and I'll record it on my phone, and then I'll go back and start writing it, you know? So it just depends.
One of the big things on as I've continued to write is getting down ideas and not being too selective about what's being recorded, because it always can be re-recorded. And, you know, like this isn't, we're not doing a live you know, you in the studio is not a live experience unless it is, but you know, this is, you know, it's meant to be like, get it out of you. You know, there's times where I don't do it too much, but some people will just go in the booth. Obviously, rappers do this more than singers, and they'll just like
just start
freestyle and come up with stuff. And sometimes that works. If I'm like hitting a block, like I'll go in and just start. Like a producer I'm with, someone on the studio, they'll be like, just get in there and just start something, and I'll do that. But usually, I really do like to take my time.
Right.
I'm sitting there and I'm in my own world, and I'm like,
yep.
In my phone, because I do it on my phone. And I actually respect a lot of people who still, write lyrics on, with paper and pen. But
yeah, I do too.
And that's cool. And I don't know, the phone is still my thing, notepad. And
right. So you're doing both at the same time. So you're listening to the beat and you're coming up with lyrics and melodies kind of in your head before you step into the booth?
I like it much more like that because I'm cerebral in that sense, so I'm constantly like I'm hearing how it would be. I know myself at this point, so I know what I can do, which I think is a lot of it, and then there's that moment of like you're about to sing it for the producer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Either you do that, either
like,
you're like,
let me see what you got.
And there's nothing worse than like the music's blasting and you're like, and it's a falsetto part and you're like,
so just imagine really this good. With a lot of reverb and a lot of delay.
Got the layers on it.
Got layers.
Could you imagine like even anyone you like anybody even popular, you hear them like dry in a room, like you'd be like, yeah, okay, pal.
Yeah. No, and I think that's a big kind of hurdle for I would say songwriters and producers. As a producer, and obviously I'm a producer, so I can speak from my perspective, but when us working together, I always have to I had to learn how to be open-minded and be like, okay, this idea is great, but we won't know if it's amazing and we won't know if it's trash until he starts cutting it. Right. And until like we add that little mellotron or retune speed that like makes all the difference, right? So I think as a music producer, when you're working with guys like you, like songwriters and stuff, I think it's our job to not only have the discipline to envision that, but also execute it and really be open-minded.
Your job as a producer is to get the most out of the people you're working with.
Yeah. Right.
And to go back to what you said before, like I think there is something lost. I grew up playing in bands, which I grew up in a house in a basement with drums. Like I played drums. Not everybody has that luxury to play an instrument loudly in their house. Having lived in New York City for the last 12 years, like noise is a factor, and we all deal with that. But like I grew up playing with other people, and the greatest takeaway from all that was how to listen to your fellow musician, how to listen to your songwriter, the person who's in the room creating with you. When you're making music with somebody, I always think of it like it's a relationship. It's like an actual relationship. You are connecting with someone on a much deeper level, and if you don't want to do that, then don't make a song with them. Because that's what it is. It's like musical dating. I say, like,
True.
Don't get uncomfortable. Like you're sharing like these,
it's very intimate.
It's intimate. It's supposed to be. That's what music is. It's an art form, and it's a part of you that's coming out that someone else can relate to or not.
Yeah.
So you have to be vulnerable, and you have to work with people that, get that out of you when they need to get it out of you, and also tell you when to push it back a little bit.
Right.
And be malleable, and obviously you just want to work with somebody that you trust.
Yeah.
Do you think two people that don't necessarily get along or like each other would be able to have a session and write a song? I think that might be tricky.
I think it would be tricky. I think when you include that variable of I don't like you,
right?
Then
you can't get past that.
Because that emotion is the same like energy that you're trying to write a song with. So then it just kind of fucks the room up.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I believe that it 100% does affect it. For sure.
I do too.
And I've been in sessions with songwriters where the chemistry just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And it's grueling.
It is grueling.
It's fucking grueling.
Have you
man.
been in sessions where guys are competing?
Absolutely. But here's the difference. Okay, so let's really dig deep into this, because let me go back to being a beat maker and a producer. You're a beat maker, a producer, you're coming up, you have good beats. It's your first time in the studio with a songwriter or a rapper, let's say. Now, let's be clear here, and you guys agree or disagree if you don't think, but working with rappers is completely different than working with a singer,
Facts.
songwriter.
100%.
If you have experience working with rappers, I'm talking about you produce the beat, you load up Pro Tools, you load up the 2-track or whatever, you track them, you do your little adlibs, you do your little pan hard right, you tuck it, you put a little delay, and voila, a song is done.
Right.
It's completely different when you're working with a songwriter.
100%.
And if you think that you know what you're doing and you only track rappers, you don't know shit.
You're in a deep hole.
You're in a deep fucking hole.
I've seen that happen before.
I've seen it too.
Where like, yeah, the engineer's coming. It's like the homie who just knows a little bit of Pro Tools, and he's used to tracking rappers, and he comes in for the session. The singer's amazing, ready to go. The singer wants to start laying harmonies, and and before you know it, you have 50, 60 tracks. Producer looking like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
Having no idea, like just got flustered, literally.
Yeah. Because, when you're, depending on the rapper, obviously, but making rap songs is the easiest thing to do. Let's just keep it a buck. Yeah. It really is.
True.
But with songwriting and songwriters, and depending on the type of songwriter, but, you're going to go in there and you're going to do playlists. You're going to be in Pro Tools. You're going to do multiple takes. You're going to do, comping. And I'll tell you guys, and I don't think I've ever told you this, Mitch, but like, I gained a lot of my experience with you guys because you're a fucking comper. Oh, yeah. Like Fatherdude is he knows what he wants. So like as a producer working with him for so long, like I was able to learn the discipline of, outdoing a take and like really, really digging in until we find something better. And that's the beauty of the music is like, you can outperform and then you keep going until it feels right, and then it feels right, and whether it takes 2 takes or 100 takes, like you have to have that discipline and patience to go. So man, being a producer with working with songwriters is a whole nother animal, man. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, like I said, let like you're part of it. If you're a producer, you're not there to engineer alone. I'm working with some young guys who reached out to me and like
producers.
They're like artists, 2 artists, and I just haven't even done this in a while, but like I'm engineering, but also like helping. They're called Letters from Mom.
Nice.
And they just put out a song, and it's just like, I think the value of what we're doing in the studio, it's not just I'm sitting there clicking buttons, even though I'm not on these records, I'm not even writing these songs, but being there, like, you have a value. If you're an engineer, you have a value. You are creating the vibe is very important in any studio, but the engineer, like, don't forget how important that person is, because if there's a technical side where like you're not wasting anybody's time. You know how it is. I would get frustrated. I'll get frustrated sometimes, or like you forgot to eat, and like my voice is starting to dry up, and I'm like getting frustrated. I'm like, why is this? And then like sometimes they'll be like, let's take 5. Yeah. Go out, get something to eat, and then come back. Like, that's important. That you need someone there to remind you that.
1000%. And we say this on the podcast all the time. The importance of like being or feeling like you're playing a leadership role when you're a producer, or even some engineers have this sort of leadership role, and you have to almost recognize who's in the room and read the room and figure out, okay, I think I can be valuable here, and it seems and it feels like I should step up to the plate and maybe take initiative. So let me ask you first, Atlas, and then I want your opinion, Fatherdude. When you're in a studio with like a producer, let's say you're writing the song, let's say there's a couple singers that are going to sing it and write it with you. What are some things that you look for, positive things you look for in the producer and the engineer that are in the room?
That's a good question.
To like help the process come along.
I think it's a tricky thing. It's a kind of thing where it's like you have to know when to kind of step up and take the leadership, but also know when to kind of ease off and let the creation happen amongst the songwriters. I always like, me personally, I like an engineer who's a little more aggressive. Like someone like Craig from SA. He's like, when he does a session, you can tell he's like the leader of the leader of the session. He just goes for it.
Invested in being there.
Invested. That's the word I'm looking for. Not someone who's like, yeah, you ready to track? All right, cool. What? Like, they ask them, what do you think?
They're on their phone and shit.
What? Like their heads down while they're tracking, not even looking, not even just on their phone on Instagram. And then once I was like, yo, he's, you know, like the artist is trying to get his attention. I like someone who takes control of the session, but also, like I was saying, knows when to let the artist kind of be. I've been to sessions where the engineer is trying to be the songwriter, he's trying to be the vocal coach, he's trying to be the motivator, he's trying to be the security guard. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to do all these things. It's like, just be a really friggin' good engineer, or if you're a producer, engineer, and help produce everybody else to making something super dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah. So
what about you, Fatherdude? Do you have any helpful tips or hints for a producer or engineer in terms of how they should, you know, be valuable?
Yeah. Be valuable. I like that.
Yeah.
How do you be valuable?
I like the word invested you used earlier.
Yeah,
too.
invested. I mean, that's really what it is. You know, if you're in a session with somebody, you know, whatever that is that drives you to be there, whether it's the genuine intent to work with this person, or it's money, or whatever it is, is that, I was just talking about this yesterday, is that getting you to that place where you are down to not just do the job, but like do it well, you know, like, because you feel like there's enough value in it for you. So don't go into a session that you don't want to do.
Right.
That's a huge thing.
Exactly.
Like that's, you're a human being. Like you got to want to do what you're doing.
So what do you say to the engineers that are getting paid hourly and they're really just literally doing it for the money, which is not a bad thing, by the way, and you can make some decent money doing it that way, and that's how a lot of engineers make their living, and producers too.
As a producer and artist, you have to be aware of that, and the more you do. One thing I will say is, I spent time on many sides of this business, at least on the music side, doing sound engineering, live engineering, mixing, blah blah blah, like every aspect of live things. So you actually understand when you work like that. It's like when you work in like the food industry and service industry. It's like, you know, you don't want to, like, you might not treat a waiter like crap because you know what it feels like. You know, so, you know, you do have to like be a little more aware of the people in the room. Why is everybody there? Are they there because you just like, you said, everyone come, like that might be cool when you're 20 years old, but like when you're doing this long enough, you know, there has to be a value there for everybody. And if you're doing it and everyone feels that way, that's when the magic happens. When everybody feels like, I just want to be here. It's not about all the extras, like just in my gut, like I want to be in this room doing this cool shit with you guys. Yeah.
Also, two other things, and this is more like from a customer service standpoint. If you know you're having a session and you know you're going to have an artist in there, maybe two things. Go buy some friggin' Wadala waters. Oh, man. Okay?
Gotta have the water.
Buy 5 of them. Throw them in the fridge, 10, whatever. Throw them in the fridge. Make sure you have some that are warm, that are out of the fridge as well, because some singers just like the warm room temperature. Okay? Second thing, make sure there's a friggin' AC in your place and it's comfortable. Nobody wants to go to a studio that's burning hot. And there's no water in there. It's a terrible environment to be comfortable in. So make sure when they're coming to your establishment that you make it very comfortable, and you make them want to come back and give you business.
You know? We're talking about the creative part, but that's just the human element of just working with people, and you know, it being, that's like such a small thing.
Goes a long way.
It goes a long way. Move. No, you know what? I think it's a big thing. I think that the whole process of making a good song is 80 to 90% human. I do. I believe that. And 10% technical, you know? Like, you know, having a great engineer there is awesome. But you can have a skilled engineer in the room tracking that's an asshole that'll ruin the whole session. Or you can have a mediocre engineer who's got great energy and who's willing to learn and willing to go above and beyond.
That's the guy I want to go.
That's the guy you want to go to, you know?
And another thing is, you know, and I shouldn't be the, you know, you're super prompt. You're good too. And
I just act like I am.
When we were in the band though, like Zach was super prompt. Like, I would probably be the latest guy.
Probably, bro. You were always the latest. Man, you got to remember, I was rolling with Smokey Heavy, so I was at all the sessions. I traveled with you guys.
Zach was there 30 minutes prior.
Zach was there maybe an hour.
I was still in the shower. He's like, I'm outside.
I wrote 3 songs.
Right on time. Always right on time. And it was always like 15, 20, 30 minutes. Fatherdude, strolling on in.
Sorry, Yeah, so don't do what I did.
Right.
But it's true. Don't, or at least I don't know. Like, everybody's still cool with me, so it's all good. But it's being.
That's what you think.
That time you made me wait.
Fuck.
You just like respecting other people's time. Obviously, like. Just be careful with it, I guess.
Exactly. Also, too, another thing. So, like, I was just in LA and I'm working on this project. I can't say what it is. And I've been working with a lot of songwriters and singers out there, like 3 or 4 different ones. And each one kind of had their own, like, positive and like quirky thing about them. And the thing that I was reminded of that's true for all, like, songwriting sessions is that you just have to lay ideas down and you have to just try stuff.
Yep.
Like I've been in sessions with songwriters, not recently, but I've been in sessions where it's just second guessing, and we're all guilty of it. It's like, I need to make this perfect before I go in there and track. There's this one songwriter I've been working with named Ink. She's like my favorite. She's from Atlanta, and we've been writing together a lot. And I love her process because she'll come in, she'll roll up, we'll smoke, and we'll just vibe. And I'll literally just start playing some beats. And she's every beat I play, she'll just start blurting shit out. She's like a machine. She just blurts, but and then I'll play the next beat. Go. And instead of asking her like, which one do you want to work on, I'll just take initiative and be like, we're loading that one up. Get in there. Yeah. So she'll get in there and she'll do her melodies first. She'll go in there and do the melodies and find melodies, and then we'll do like 5 to 10 straight through 4 minutes, maybe more like 3 to 5. Boom, 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 boom. And then we'll start comping, vocal comping, pulling the stuff we like.
And this is as she's like developing her idea, right?
Yeah, she's developing the idea, and then we'll get like a good like sequence, versus potential pre-hooks, potential hook. We'll go. And then we'll get into the song and then start thinking about lyrics and concept. So, and I've found that that's like the process for a lot of songwriters.
That's good. And it's also on your end, you have to be pressing that record button. If the guy or girl is in the booth, you gotta press the record button. They don't have to know. Exactly. They don't have to know anything. Just
exactly.
Next take. Like just stack up stuff because you don't know what you're capturing. I mean, I can't tell you, even the songs I just released, like, I'm like, I mean, geez, the first thing I did in Australia was I did, at the end of a vocal take, I did like an adlib for the song Electrify with Grimm, and I was doing like all these crazy adlibs at the end, and like they sounded really good, and Atlas was tracking me that night. And
you heard that, right?
Atlas was tracking me that night.
I was tracking vocals,
and
Atlas tracks too.
And but the rest of the story doesn't bode well for me. It's like I was tracking, and then he deleted my best take by accident. No. And then I was like, it just like it took me a moment. I was like, this motherfucker.
Yeah, I control Z it. I did like, one too many.
Okay. So we did one more take, and we took that take, and honestly, I wasn't really happy with it, but I gave all that shit to the producer.
Right.
I just gave him, all the tracks and everything, and I didn't even do the editing myself, which I like to do. Anyway, he took a part of the edit that I would never have used, and it became the hook.
The hook.
And it became the song.
Yeah.
So it's hard. You have to edit yourself, but also be open to the fact that you really don't know everything.
Right. That's so true.
I say that all the time. What's funny is I remember that too, Fatherdude. I remember that session. And I tracked you on another song too. I forget which one was the other one. It was Electrify. What was the other joint? Anyway, but I remember when we sent it off to the producer, and we sent it off the way we thought it should sound, right? Me and Fatherdude, we put it together. We were like, all right, we're happy with this for now. And we send it off. And then I'm going to be totally honest. The producer sends the version that ended up being the version, right? He sends it back. I fucking hated it. I really didn't like it. I'm not going to say how Fatherdude felt. I didn't like it. I was like, man, I feel like our version was so much better. What the fuck do I know? That shit, boom, in Australia.
Yeah.
Like that.
Exactly.
We don't know anything.
You don't know anything.
We know what we know. We do the best we can.
We think we know. We really don't know.
Listen, the whole, and that's why I'm so glad we're talking about this, because the whole process from A to Z, making a song, making the beat, playing the right beat, strumming that right chord, coming up with lyrics, melodies, everything is a crapshoot. Yeah. Every single thing is a crapshoot from A to Z. So if you're a producer or a songwriter or engineer, I would say don't feel like you suck.
Right.
Because we all suck, honestly. Like if you saw the process of some of the greatest songs ever, even like just anything we're doing, like everyone goes through the same thing. You're fighting through and you're struggling through to just do stuff, and it's just it's gonna seem like you suck.
Yeah.
I think about it. I'm like, why do they want to be in the studio? Like, this is a loop for 6 hours. Like, I'm sick of it. How the hell are you sitting here like not contributing?
Yeah.
But I mean, it is cool as a process. But like, funny thing, like, when you're a songwriter and you're sitting there with a producer and like you're like, just please loop that up and just like you should just leave because it's gonna get really boring.
It's gonna get real.
Because when I'm in it, I'm just like, we could sit there for 15 minutes on a loop and I'll just like literally work out all the parts in my to myself, and then I'll eventually get it down. But and that goes for producers, like starting beats, going through the sounds, like.
Yeah.
Turn that down.
Exactly.
But it's an ugly process at times.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, you definitely get into your bag. I even when I go to Fatherdude sessions, like I have people, oh, you going to Fatherdude session? Can I go with you? I'm like, you don't want to, trust me. It's boring as shit.
This guy smells. You
Yeah,
don't want to be.
You don't want to
go there.
You trust me. Because I've known this guy so long. I've been to so many sessions with him. I already know what to expect when I go. Like, I even know when I'm hanging out with him and he's like, when to speak or when just to shut the fuck up and like, check my emails for 20 minutes because I know he's working on a verse. You know what I'm saying? And just kind of leave him alone and let him do what he does.
And as a producer, that's a real that's something you really do have to like
a skill.
A skill that you have to develop.
Absolutely.
Is patience.
Patience. And another skill too, I will say, for the engineers out there, and I would say engineers too, knowing when it's time to move on, and knowing
That's a big one.
Knowing making that call on whether or not you should all commit to fight through it. Because sometimes you're fighting through something, and in everyone's minds, the songwriter, the singer, the engineer, in everyone's minds, they're telling themselves, this is not good.
Yeah, I'm not feeling this.
And we need to go outside or move on.
Yeah.
How many times did we do that? We literally would.
Dude, all the time. We always start with a warm-up song. We jump in and we do a warm-up.
It's true.
And 40 to 50% of the time, the warm-up song would be better than the new song, right?
Yes.
So
absolutely. And that was really cool because you'd start something and you'd just bare bones. It'd be the bones of a song, production wise, and then we come up with an idea, and then literally we'd like take like 45 minutes for this to like come together, and it's like, man, that was way easier than the one that we're like trying to do something on.
I've definitely been to sessions where I've seen you guys literally from creating the track, coming up with the vocal, with the melodies and the lyrics, tracking it, and having a pretty good decent mix. I've been to plenty of sessions with you guys where I've seen you do 3 to 4 songs in one day.
Yeah.
Literally.
We've done that.
Literally, I've seen it happen with my own eyes multiple times. And let me tell you, I used to love going to the studio and watch. And I just love being in the studio and seeing the creation process and like observing it and, seeing it. And then once in a while, like you guys be, what do you think about that? And then I'll tell you, but I just keep my mouth shut really for most of the time. And like, dude, that process is so. If you don't enjoy being in the studio, then it's just you gotta just love. I'm like a studio rat. I love going to the studio. Even if I'm not writing or I'm just there, I just love being there. It's just something about.
And that was so valuable to being able to play our stuff for you.
Yeah.
And I would say that too, as a word of advice, is play your shit for people. Play your music, your rough versions or whatever you want to call them. Play them for as many people as possible. Don't give it to them.
Right.
But ask them to come to the studio.
And play them for females and males.
Yes.
Don't just have all your boys like, pat you on the back,
No.
That's like, that's not going to get
That's
you
the
anywhere.
worst,
You really
actually.
do want to know what, because at the end of the day, like, God, advice I used to get when I was a teenager, like from musicians that were well beyond me, like it's starting to sink in.
Yeah.
It's starting, I'm starting to get it. He's like, a guy in a pretty big rock band, he was like, playing bass, and he's like, you know, if the girls aren't dancing, like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You're not making, you know, it's what you're doing is just kind of, I don't know, self-serving in a way, because you know, most popular music, and I'm speaking on the popular sense, you gotta have people moving. You know, you gotta have
1000%.
You know, like that's the whole point.
You have to. People listen to music to move. You know what I mean, and to feel good. So I'll get in here.
We're here. There.
Hey, Perfection just got here.
Perfection in the building.
In the building. She's gonna get acclimated. But yeah, no. You have to make people move, and so the best way to do that is to play your stuff for strangers, or just play them for females, play them for your homies, play them for strangers.
And as a producer and as an artist, you're always playing it for people, and we call it preface free. No preface music.
No preface.
Where you're not doing it. God, it is so hard as an artist and a producer to be like, well, this is the version without the verse, and you know, I did a little bit of limiting on this, but it's gonna be mastered and it's not mixed yet, and this is the first. It's just like, dude, no one cares. No one even hears that.
Exactly.
You know, even a critical ear is not listening for that first go through.
Yeah.
They're not. That's not the thing. They're not gonna be like, that snare is too loud.
No.
I mean, they may think that if you asked them, but that's not the thing that's gonna prevent them from, you know, getting the song or not.
That's a fact. And anytime someone has played me a rough version of a song, and they preference, I never notice it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not paying attention. I'm listening to a song. You know what I mean? So.
As soon as somebody starts to do it with me, I'm at the point now. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. Just hit play. Literally, I don't.
Exactly.
I don't care. Just hit play for me. Right?
Yeah.
It's not going to change. Actually, the more you talk, the more I'm getting annoyed and don't even want to listen to it anymore.
Exactly.
Which also
just hit play.
That should also tell you, like, when you do play it for someone, make sure that's what you want them to hear.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the barometer for me, is like, well, if I'm playing for them, I don't want to give them all the excuses. Like, when it's ready to be played, I don't have to say anything.
Yeah, exactly. Perfection. Before you got here, we were just talking, in general, we were just talking about like the songwriting process.
Yep.
And like, you know, just being a producer, working with a songwriter and a singer, being like very different from working with rappers. You know, when you work with a rapper, they're, you know, laying down a verse and a hook or something, and like you're two-tracking it and you're done. But when you're creating a song with a songwriter and a singer, it's melodies, it's layers, stuff like that. So I mean, obviously, you being at Engine Room, you've seen a lot of artists come in and out. What are some things you notice in those sessions, like the difference between a real singer
And a rapper. It's just, I think everything's different, from the vibe to the way the session runs to the people in the room. You know, as far as like rappers, you know, it depends on the rapper, but for the most part, a lot of them do have like an entourage in the studio, hanging out. You know, you got some people smoking here, some people just sleeping here, drinking here. You know, and then sometimes the artist feeds off that, versus I feel like, you know, singers and songwriters feed off of just their vibe and not necessarily having a ton of people around. So I think that I've noticed that that's one of the, you know, biggest differences. And I think too, kind of like what you said, is when, you know, you're dealing with the rapper, it's just like, you know, 2-track, record, you know, rough mix, done, on to the next one. Whereas with like singers and songwriters, they want to build an actual song, and you know, it's a longer process to develop the song. And I think you can learn more too.
As a producer and an engineer.
I think you can always learn in any situation, but I think when dealing with a singer-songwriter, you know, you hear and look at the music differently, where you're like, okay, I like how he or she sung that there. Maybe I could add a, you know, specific instrument, you know, to that, or take out, you know, it just makes you look at the song different. Just the overall vibe, I think, you know.
That's true. And I was saying that, like, as a producer, you know, I gained a lot of my experience with like working with Fatherdude. So I don't know if you know, but me and Fatherdude were in a band together.
I know we've met before, but
it was
Smokey Robotics.
Yes.
You know,
and you know, me and Fatherdude were in a group.
They were
together.
in a group together.
Smokey Robotics videos were fire.
Yeah, they were wild.
You guys were ahead of your time, guys. I'm telling you.
We shot a video. We shot a video in Lindsay Lohan's house.
Yeah,
like that's how crazy it was. But those years for me were like, experience in not working with rappers. They're like, okay, I'm building a song here, so we have to like write a song and lay down melodies and come up with lyrics and do harmonies, stack harmonies. And so in doing that, I was able to learn how to like use auto-tune and like layering vocals and panning left and right and using vocal and space and all that stuff. So it was invaluable for me, for sure. So yeah, I would say like my piece of advice would be work with songwriters. I think working with singers and songwriters as a producer or an engineer, that's where you're really going to start to get like the experience, you know.
How do you guys feel about you know, Mitch was talking about being in a session, and there's nothing worse, but being in a session where two artists are like competing against each other, you know what I'm saying? And we're like, this guy's writing he's writing this over there, and this guy's writing that over there, and they're supposed to make a song together, but this guy wants to go in first and start tracking before the other guy goes in. Like,
what do you think of that?
How do you guys maneuver as engineers? How do you maneuver that? Because that can be tricky.
What have you seen?
I mean, I've never been in that situation.
Okay.
I've never, luckily. I was in one awkward situation where, and I think I'll answer this first. I'd say what I would do is based off of the session. Whose session is it? Is it one specific artist, and then he has someone coming in to, you know, like jump on a verse or whatever? I'm gonna respect the main artist. Like, what are you, you know, what are you looking to do?
What if it's a group?
Yeah.
It's like a group and there's two rappers in the group.
They just need to get their shit together. That's none of our business.
That's not my problem. Like, you know, I think I'll go based off of the vibe, what's going on between them. You know, if I see that someone's more ready than the other one, I'd be like, you know, you seem ready. Let's just, you know, knock it out.
And by the way, it's not a beef. They don't like it. They're just super excited. You know, they want to get in there and they want to like.
Yeah, I think it just depends. I think as the engineer, you got to kind of, you know, be confident in knowing how to control the session.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, just feeling the vibe. Like, again, if I feel like, you know, for instance, Davies, because he's, you know, one of our clients. If Davies was recording and he had like, you know, one of his friends come, which he always has friends, but someone came specifically to, you know, put a verse down and they're both there writing, I'm gonna ask Dave, like, you know, what do you want? You want to jump in the booth first? You want him to jump in the booth? Right. You know, I'd respect the person who's actually paying for the session first and foremost, because I'm engineering for them, if anything. You know, and also not even like, again, just feel the vibe. Like if I see that Dave's more ready than his guy, or his guy is more ready than him, I'd say like, hey, you want me to track you, you know, real quick because it seems like you're ready, and then we'll go on to Dave or whatever.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And if you don't bring that up, if you don't play that role, it'll never happen.
And it'll just get awkward because then it's like, you know, their vibe gets weird, and then you're kind of like trying to wait and figure out what's going on. And
Dave's one of those guys that makes songwriters jealous because he can go in there and get it in literally one take.
Yeah, he does it in one take.
And I'm like in there, it's like give me like, you know, like 15 takes. We're gonna accomplish it, and like he goes right. Isn't he like
a lot
one
of people.
or two takes?
Speaking of Dave, a lot of people don't know, and Atlas, obviously, you helped put this together. But one of Dave's like first songs out was with Fatherdude.
That's Well, actually,
what was it called? That was a long time ago.
I don't think it ever came out. Actually,
we didn't. Right? We were working for.
I put about 3 or 4 sessions with Dave and Fatherdude together.
There was some music created though.
Oh yeah. There was a song. There was a song called Mega Man, and there was another song that they did that I think were fire. Actually,
we did one.
Yeah, over a boom trap beat.
And then you guys, then I set up one with Dave, and you guys.
See, let that be a lesson to you. Don't not put shit out.
Yeah.
Because it was good, and now we're looking back, and now you can't put it out.
And now you can't put it out.
And not because of Dave. It was because all of us are in a different place 4 or 5 years later. So that's what I'm doing right now with my stuff, and like. Put your shit out. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but if it lives, it has a chance to be heard and appreciated.
And you know what? And you know what goes to that, and you know, like Fatherdude was saying, is like just put it out, and you know, not just in Dave's situation, but just in general, like put it out, because in 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 years, if one of the artists on that track does become successful and people are looking back at old catalog stuff, guess what?
You have a song out.
Your streaming is going to go up.
But then
and now they're going to be like, who is this guy? Oh, Father, who's this guy? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and we talk about that, you know, here on the show, even with producers and as well as songwriters. Don't let it go to the hard drive cemetery, guys.
No, hard drive cemetery is
don't
not
overthink it. Just put the shit out, man.
We always say that, put the shit out. Speaking of putting stuff out, I want to play a couple snippets from Fatherdude's new project. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
So Fatherdude, tell them the name of the project.
Yes or no? No.
Well.
So let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Let's wait for this sound. I'll edit this out.
Okay.
What is that?
I don't know.
That's the intro.
This
is the intro. Elevator intro.
A couple of weeks ago. Oh, actually, August. I put out the first song I put out in literally my own solo thing in 2 years.
Yeah.
Because
big deal.
I was signed. I put out stuff. I did a lot of electronic stuff.
So why don't you give us the this is Hot 97. This is the debut.
This is Let Me Live.
All right, let's do it. Hey, those snaps sound familiar.
On my own timeline, leave me alone. You see something inside, tell me to keep going, but you can't convince me to feel something I'm not, and nothing's gonna change me. The devil dared me just to get me to stop, but you think that I still need saving. Let me live my life. Let me live my life.
Fatherdude here at BLAPCHAT episode 1. Let me live my life.
All right, let me live my life. So that track came out.
That came out a month ago, and let me tell you, like,
awesome.
I don't usually, because we worked with 2 producers for a long time.
Yeah.
That track has 4 producers on it.
Wow.
And I was the only writer on it.
Right.
But like, it was this whole new thing I'm doing, and all these songs that are coming out. I'm like, I'm not afraid anymore of like getting anybody that I respect on it if they want to be on it.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, try it. He's like, Ivan Brass Tracks. He was, one of the last guys to contribute on that. He was like, I have this idea. Let me just put it down. And it was going to mixing that week. I was like, yeah, try it. Let's see. Why not? And even if you take like 5% of it, it's like sometimes it's like those little things that make a track.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Sometimes it's that little things that give you that 5% publishing.
Yeah. The little things that give you that 2.5.
Facts.
Yeah.
Secure the bag.
Things in life, guys.
Trying to get on to that next option. So let's play another snippet. Want to play Summer Gone?
Yeah, actually, tell
us about this song.
This one, this is different than the last one. It's I just shot a video for it, which is really cool.
Nice.
Riding a Harley in a cemetery.
Whoa!
It's gonna be cool. It's coming out next Friday. And it's kind of the theme of. It's called Summer Gone, and it's timely, of course. And I'm going on tour in less than 2 weeks with Brass Tracks.
Amazing.
And
where can they get tickets?
BrassTracks.co.
BrassTracks.co.
It's a
you guys already know we had Brass Tracks on here too, so Fatherdude's going on tour with them. If you see your city, go. This guy puts his
West
show,
Coast.
man.
They got a few California dates and Utah and Nevada. So
nice.
But yeah, this one it's more of a ballad, more of a thing. But anyway, this is the theme of my sets during the tours. Summer Gone.
All right, let's hear it.
On my way back home, dark shade of envy, lonely streets I roam. Miss you, but not very. Everything's gone, everything in it from me. Touch of an artist painting brush strokes over the sun, broken up the city. The summer gone, some of us are alone, some of us are better off when it's cold out and the nights are long. Some of us are alone, some of us are better off with the summer gone. Summer gone. Staring through the stars.
Let me tell you about that one.
Nice. That was a banger.
If you thought that, what did I have? Four, this one had more. This was a song I started, and this is a story that obviously means something to producers and writers. I started this song 3 years ago with an Australian duo called Toucan, and I wrote top line over like an EDM track that was that song. And then 3 years later, I'm like, I know that song is good. Let's not go to the hard drive purgatory.
Hard drive purgatory.
So like, I
Graveyard.
had a guy. I have my guys in New York, and we just recreated the whole track.
So you recreated new chords and just kind of created.
Yeah, I in my head I was like, I know the sound I'm going for now, and it's not that sound anymore. So I had the acoustic guitar, and I got you know what I mean. Like sometimes when you're an artist, you forget that like you're orchestrating. So if you know what you need, sometimes you got to ask the producers for that. I need a guitarist, or I need a piano player for this thing. We need him in the session, and then obviously you kind of are dictating certain things, but you're composing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Everyone in that room is composing on some level.
So what kind of stopped the process for that song? Because it's interesting for me when I hear people say like, it took me 2 years to do this project. It took me 3 years. And, when you think about it, it's like, wow, that's a long time. But it's really not. Because so much happens between that time, especially as a creative musician, I guess creative in general. That, like, when you look back, it's not that much time.
That's true.
But in the midst of those 3 years, what prevented you guys from putting it out before?
I don't know. I think we all liked it, and it just sat there, and which is sometimes a good thing, even with mixes in general. Like, it's nice to sit on something. Like, you should sit on it and listen to it and give yourself a break. But I think it just fell by the wayside for a while, and then like I said, that when you get into label situations, both of us were signed at the time, and it was just like, that will prevent a lot. That will prevent a lot.
Definitely a lot of delays
So
back
then,
and forth.
but if you have a good song, and that's the whole point, is that, God, I've been talking to a bunch of producers recently that are like, I've been dragging shit out from 6 years ago, and they're like, no, actually, there's a couple of good ideas in there. I'm just gonna reopen it and make it work. So I mean,
I pull
don't be
shit
afraid.
from back all the time.
Yeah.
But it depends on who I'm working with. Sometimes I'll be like, 2010 for you. Here we go.
Yeah. Is that what he thinks about me? Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna play you what I did last week. Here we go.
Yeah. But no, it's and that hopefully you're making music that is in some respect timeless. And we're talking about songwriting. Like, a song should be played, on a chordal instrument, and you should get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the sounds in the world, like even for hip hop, it doesn't. You don't have to be that intricate with all this.
That's true.
If you can just like hit a table and fucking say something, and people know it right away because it's that catchy, it's that well written, it's that like that's the point of the song, is that it's relatable and singable.
That's it. I love it.
What I like about the 2 tracks is the fact that you keep it simple on the verse, and then when the hook comes, it's like more intense and more energetic. It kind of reminds me of like a alter ego kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's like the I guess the whole thing right now for me is like, you can get where like in EDM stuff, like the whole riser into this giant drop, and like what's cool is that like that whole thing, like that's dynamics, which obviously in hip hop, like sometimes there'll be a loop for the whole song, and it works perfectly, but there's not a lot of dynamics. It's just here's the song. But like, I wanted to, in my songwriting, I want the song to be the dynamics, and the production to help tell that story. So the story in the verse is kind of when it all comes down to like, oh man, we're doing this new song last night, and it's literally just a bass, and there's a guitar doubled on top of it, and it's like affected and stuff, but There's no snaps in the verse. It's literally just the instrument doing the percussion, doing the like it's honestly, we're all keep looking at each other like, are you sure you don't want to like put in something to keep the 2 and 4 going? And we're all like, nah, fuck it.
It's like, I mean, not comparing you because you're totally different voices, but that's like what Justin Bieber did with that record. Love Yourself or whatever.
You can go and love yourself.
Right,
which by the way, Ed Sheeran wrote.
Really?
Yep.
No shit.
If you watch the documentary on iTunes, the songwriter documentary that just came out, it shows how he was on a tour bus and he just like wrote it.
Wow.
Like, oh, that sounds cool.
That guy's incredible.
Yeah, pretty
Holy
crazy.
cow.
Fatherdude, where can they follow you and reach you? Like for the tickets and music and all that stuff.
All things Fatherdude. You can go to fatherdude.com or
so Fatherdude.
Yeah,
one
Fatherdude
word.
is one word. It's the internet age. If you can put that in.
You can put that in.
If you can put that into your Google there.
Yeah, there you go. Fire. Let's get into BLAP or CRAP.
Hell yeah.
I had somebody approach me at the studio the other day, like, what's up with BLAP or CRAP?
Oh, we're about to go in.
Like, oh,
Fatherdude, are you joining us for this?
Yeah, I mean, how mean do you want me to get?
The meaner the better.
You won't be meaner than Atlas.
Wow.
You won't be meaner than Atlas.
Didn't we do some version of this a few years ago? And
we may have.
And I was like pretty rude to someone, and you guys were laughing about it, and
Possibly.
I didn't think I was. So I'm okay to
Possibly.
do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
As mean as you feel.
Yeah. We are about to get into BLAP or CRAP. It's been about a month, I think.
That
we have to, because we haven't done it the past few episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, the past few episodes. So
we
it
haven't
been
done
about
it
a month. Okay.
So guys, listen up. Basically, we're gonna do BLAP or CRAP. This is the segment of the show where we play your beats that you submitted to us at random. We're gonna play a beat snippet, and if we like the beat, we're going to give you a BLAP. If we don't like it, we're going to give you a CRAP, and we're going to try to give you a little bit of constructive criticism, or we'll shit on you if we don't like it. But listen, we'll give you props
Be
if
nice,
you like it too.
Be nice.
We'll be nice.
Okay.
So if you want to submit your beat for this segment, all you have to do is go to this awesome website that we helped build called BeatThread. So you're going to go to beatthread.com, BeatThread.com. It's free to sign up. You're going to create an account and upload your beats just like SoundCloud, and you're going to receive feedback and all that good stuff. And when you upload your beat, make sure you hashtag BLAP or CRAP on there so we can choose you. So go to beatthread.com and sign up and start uploading your beats on there. So our first submission for today is Beats Phantom.
Put him up a little bit.
All right, that was Beats Phantom for our first submission. Shut up! Atlas, why don't you kick that one off, buddy?
I'm going to kick it off. And I'm going to kick it off real positive. Real positive.
All right.
I almost wanted to blap
That's a
that.
BLAP.
Almost
wanted to blap that.
Perfection, you're giving
I'm
it a
going
blap?
to give it a BLAP.
I almost wanted to blap that.
Okay.
I almost wanted to blap that.
That was an almost blap from
I
Atlas.
was like 99.99 there.
What was the .1? What disappointed?
I'm gonna be honest. The
At- volume
volume is really low on my headphones. Is homegirl over? Is she
Yeah.
over there?
Can we give Atlas a little more
Can you give
headphone
me some
volume?
more volume in my headphones? Because I wasn't really hearing it that well.
But based on what you heard,
I liked it. I wish it was louder in my ears.
Come on, you got to give it that .1.
I'm gonna
He's
give it
not
the
the
.1.
.1.
Nah,
Be
I'm
honest.
Not gonna give it. I'm gonna be
Nope.
honest.
Okay.
I liked it.
Crapping it.
I liked it. I didn't love it. It was
That
cool. I could
0.1
heir some vocals on it.
He did at 99.1 because it was a little too low.
99.9.
99.9.
Okay, 99.9. That's a crap.
But I will say this: I really did enjoy the sequencing. Like when it dropped out, and then like for like those 4, and then it came in.
I
on
saw
that
your
one.
head nod on that.
And I knew it was coming too.
You knew
so I
it
was like,
coming.
boom, it's gonna come back in.
You did one of those,
and it did. I was really enjoying that. I would just wish it was louder in my head because it was very faint. So I couldn't really hear the rest of it. So I'm gonna crap it, but
I was almost there.
That was probably the closest blap crap I've ever
Blap
done on the
crap.
show.
Father Dude, what'd you think? Yeah. And keep it a buck.
Yeah, it's a really good idea.
Just kidding. Yeah.
It was actually a really good idea. I would totally start an idea to it.
Okay, so
I mean, I guess it depends on what like, I know sometimes you're making a beat and obviously there's like a little drop there and then it comes back in and there's elements that were starting to change after that. A couple things came in and out, the little vocal sample and the little like, but a cool 70s like soul vibe.
Cool.
Very very cool.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
I'll blab it.
All right, that's a blap. I'm crapping it.
It's a crap.
I'll tell you why. Because I want to play devil's advocate.
Because that's your sample? Is that what it is?
No, I'm just gonna crap it for the hell of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would say though, the mix needed a little work.
I think that and being low. I think that might have been
the
what it
mix
was for
needed
me.
a little work. I wasn't really focused on the mix. I was more focused on the sound selection
The beat
and the
was really good.
sequencing. I would say though is I would maybe speed it up a little bit because there was something about it that just like it dragged.
I would love to hear that.
He put
That's
on.
a
Just
really
tad
good
bit.
idea.
Just
He
a
put
tad bit.
he put
A
J.
little
Cole.
louder, a little faster.
He put J. Cole type beat, and I could hear J. Cole on that.
Yes, that's one of the artists I thought about honestly.
Yeah.
I would just speed it up just a tad bit.
Yeah. Our next
It was a good
submission
beat. It was
is
a good
by
beat.
Jat D187. Intro's a little long. Let's go. Let's see.
If it comes in hard here, it could do it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I like that little bass.
Me too.
There we go.
See where it goes.
That's good. This is a cool beat.
Yeah. Here we go. Here we go. See where it goes.
That's it. It's done.
What? That was
That's where it ends. That's where it ends. Oh. Yep.
What a fucking tease
It
that
needed
was.
a little bit more.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It needed a little bit
If
more.
it would have just took it to that one extra level, that would have been a blap for me.
Yeah.
If it
So
would have
you're
like,
gonna crap it?
I'm gonna crap it. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna crap it.
Yeah, I'm gonna crap it solely off of the intro being way too long and then the fire part being way too short.
Yeah.
And I would want to see a different sequence, like some instruments drop
Something.
out at one point. But yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Father Dude?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. It's a
no
it's
for
a great
me, dog.
idea. I mean, like, I know all this stuff is ideas. It's a good idea, but you got to build it out a little more than that.
Build it out. Build it out.
That's why it should have been a little bit longer.
I'm gonna crap it too. Just build it out. It's not crap. It's just unfinished.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of like early Eminem shit.
Yeah, totally. I heard 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Fifth too. Yep,
Yep.
Fifth, absolutely.
shady.
I like that
Shady.
synth. That bass synth is really nice too.
That's how he raps.
That's it.
Anyway, okay. So our next submission is by Kendi. Simply Kendi. This tune is called Regression.
This is not it, guys. This is not it.
Wait for it.
This is not it.
Just wait for it.
Trying to tell y'all.
Father Dude, would you write to this?
No. There's no room for me.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Can't
Yeah.
do. Goddamn.
It's a
It's a little. It's a
no.
A lot going. There's a lot going on.
There's
there.
a lot going on.
And the intro was like, it sounded very like the sound sounded like extremely stock. Like
True.
stock's cool,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but it
Right.
sounds like when you're trying, like you're in your first couple of beats and you're trying.
Just playing.
Maybe
some
they
shit.
are, right? I mean,
They might
it
be.
sounded like a pretty young producer, and I guess
Sounds
if you're
very
not, then
Yeah.
It sounded like a very green snare.
Yeah. It was a green.
As soon as that snare came on, I was like, nah, that ain't it. Like, I just knew. Because if you put a snare like that on a record, I mean, if you're doing it once in a while. But as soon as I heard it, I'm like, nah, he's not ready. They're not ready.
He's not ready.
He's not ready.
He said
You heard
no,
him.
he's not ready.
He's not ready yet.
Well, that's why this is so valuable, because you're gonna get that honest opinion. You're just keep going.
That snare would have slapped. And been like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
okay.
is that snare whack as fuck?
That was whack as fuck.
That's whack.
Snare. Hell fucking
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
it
that snare's
wasn't.
whack as fuck.
It was
Dude,
pretty
it was
whack.
whack.
It was pretty whack.
If perfection says so, then
If
you know.
perfection
Snare was
said
whack
it,
as
shit
fuck.
was
You know what I'm
trash.
saying?
Whack.
All right, our next submission is by DJ Bluff.
This is not it, yo.
Just give it a chance, man. Yeah.
Nah. This is the
white rappers everywhere.
Yeah.
Submit now for your part in the hip hop competition here at Boston College. Welcome. We got 100 pesos for the winners out here. Just grab your drinks, grab your bartender, and tip the bartender. Let's go. All right.
This is the 4th annual Raceway Park.
This is some shit they'll play at like
Hondas.
a bar when you're on your like 4th drink and the room is spinning.
We have tricked out Hondas. Tricked out Gretty. We have Honda Accords for sale.
Buy one, get one free.
Buy one, get one free.
Route 34.
No money down. Route 34. East.
1-800-228-5555.
Route 34, Eastern Parkway.
I love it.
Damn, man. I guess that wasn't
I
it.
guess that's it.
Fuck, man. Okay. Yeah, I kind of see where he was going, though. It kind of had like a West Coast feel, but I think it was too slow,
Yeah.
and just the melody just didn't really tell a story.
Yeah.
It was just kind of random.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely saw where he was going. It was
Yeah.
right to the car dealership. That's where he was going, driving straight over there.
Oh,
New or
my-
pre-owned?
New or pre-owned.
Certified.
That's hilarious.
What you guys
Your car
think?
right now for $500
Father,
off.
Father Dude, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The feel just kind of wasn't even doing it for me. Not even
Yeah.
just the sounds. It just had this very
Yeah.
bouncy, but not like in
In a good way?
In a good way.
Yeah. Like bouncy with like an upset stomach. Like
Bouncing in a bad way, like you
You're
got to
about
take a
to puke.
shit,
Imodium
and hitting the bumps and all the car. Every bump, you gotta
Every
take
bump
a shit.
hurts.
Gonna shit your pants.
hurts.
Like fuck.
All right.
What'd you think, Il?
Oh no, I didn't like it.
Okay.
I felt like I had an upset stomach.
Yeah.
All right, our next submission is by Rob Nasty.
Okay.
Rob Nasty with the nasty.
So stupid. Rob Nasty with the nasty.
Yeah, I'm gonna crap it, but I don't know. It was just a little boring. Like it was like trying to be energetic, but like the chords and the pads were like very like dark and depressing, so it didn't really translate. And it just ended up being like just boring for me. So I'm gonna crap it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna crap that too.
Yeah.
It didn't do it for me. It kind of lost me.
Yeah.
So.
That change up was weird too, right? Like it just kind of.
I think honestly, because like the focal point in a lot of that is there's the melody and the synth, you know, and I think it kept landing on the same note, and it was like if you're doing phrases with loops and stuff like that, you might want to just keep it more interesting by even changing the last note that it resolves on, like every 2 bars, every 4 bars, like just kind of keeping it a little interesting.
Exactly. It was very too linear.
Yeah.
Atlas, you've been quiet.
Yeah, no, I was letting everyone speak. I'm gonna crap that. But in my opinion, it's going along the lines of what Fatherdude was saying, because I totally agree with him. I would take the melody, all the melodies ideas, take that all out. Yeah. The programming, I actually enjoyed. I like the bass and the boom on that one. Like I like that. Like the programming, I could live with it. Now, the melody was not feeling like the doom, the doom, 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 doom. It got boring too. Like he said, kept landing on the same note. Get someone who knows how to play keys or has a pretty good idea, because this person doesn't, and have them go in there and play, and this track would be fire.
Play some shit.
Track would be fire.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. But I'm going to crap it. But I still think has potential. Has potential.
Shout to Glenn. Potential. All right. Our last submission for today is by Gats with an H. Ghats.
Too long. That was
Is that a dog I heard in there?
That was me.
All right, I'll start it off. I'm gonna crap it, but I do think it's a cool beat. The only thing I would say is everything is just feeling like it's dragging. Like this melody is just so like
that Fender Rhodes type sound thing.
And it's spacey, but then the drums are like, and then the bass line was my favorite part. I like the bass line. So I don't know. I just think there needs to be something in there with like a little staccato, like something to keep it, make me interested. Because right now it feels like slow and draggy.
Feels like the artist on it, like the rapper would like that would be
the staccato.
The artist song, and that would serve that purpose. But it's like the track is very subdued, so if you have an artist that can like pop out and like
do like
own that,
double
time
that would work.
Shit. But the very drums, true. You just got to be careful with like random sounds happening in repetitive ways, kind of like that vibra slap thing, whatever you call that.
I saw you laugh at that part.
Well, I laugh because it's just kind of, I felt like it's just kind of in some random places, and a couple of things like there's like a hi-hat that hits on one for some reason. Like I'm a drummer by trade, so like I feel like a lot of the best productions are like you're coming from like how would a kit play, how would this really sound on a kit, because it sounds like a kit, it's supposed to be a kit. So if all of a sudden you have like in the mix like this hi-hat hitting on one, which is a cool idea, but in the mix, it's way out in front. It's like, I can't make sense of that. But if it's lower in the mix, and maybe the drummer's like digging into one, on the quarter notes. True. But just be mindful of like, what does that kit look like that you're making? Is it a bunch of weird things? It's like,
yeah,
it all makes sense.
I totally agree with that. On what I would do is definitely speed this up. This was had a little more, tempo was faster, like like something like that speed. Then like where you can kind of bop to it. It was kind of dragging for me, like my feet were dragging on the floor. And that main melody one, kind of like the previous track where the main melody, I don't know if it was a Fender Road or whatever was playing. It was like the doom 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 doom. It was just like
almost sounded like a horn.
I don't know what that was, but like a little more something to it. It was just very laid back and chill. But now, if an artist came in and did some double time shit on it,
it could work.
It could work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's something to think about. It's like, okay, you can make tracks like this, but what are you using them for? If it's just listening pleasure, okay, cool. But if you're going to get an artist, get someone who can do, like Kendrick would kill that. You know what I'm saying? Like someone who can just go in and out, they would murder that, Sure. So just keep that in mind when you're making tracks like this. Like, okay, now what? I made this track, but what am I going to do with it now?
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't go to the hard drive cemetery.
Yeah, exactly. Or the trash bin cemetery.
Right. I'm going to crap that, but I agree with everything you guys said. I agree with Atlas in the sense of, like, if you do get an artist that can flow differently on that and make it hot, definitely. I do think, I would have sped the beat up a little because, like you said, it was dragging, a little bit, so.
True.
But it wasn't a bad beat.
It wasn't a bad beat. It wasn't a bad beat.
Not a bad sequence of beats.
Not at all.
That was decent.
This was better than some of our last.
Most.
Yeah,
better than most. It's been really bad lately. So listen, guys, if you want to submit to this, all you have to do is go to beatthread.com and upload your beats on there. It's also a really cool website we help design to you can get feedback from other users. There's like a rating system, and then the highest rated most popular tracks float to the top of the page to get more exposure. So it's a really cool website to like test the market out, put your beats up, and like see if people are fucking with them. And it's free to join. So go to beatthread.com, start uploading your beats on there, and hopefully we'll consider your beat for this segment, BLAP or CRAP.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I want to say if you're in New York, September 20th, in New York City, or you're in the 5 boroughs and want to travel to New York, I'm throwing an event for my birthday.
Hey,
that's right.
Virgo.
I'm turning Virgo season. Virgo, we out here. But 25 years old, showing out there. So
or like 15.
So if it's gonna be at Drum here in New York City. If you're there, Illmind's gonna do a DJ set. Fatherdude was actually gonna perform, but he's gonna be on tour with Brass Tracks. I got Chef Pasquale, I got Buck Wild, Ski Beats, Sean J. Period, and a few other surprises in there. So if you're in town, September 20th, pull up or shoot me a DM. I'll send you the information.
You guys got to pull up.
And you haven't been on the air since your birthday, right?
Yeah. I haven't been on the air since my birthday. Oh, thank you guys so much.
Virgo season.
Virgo season is in full effect.
Hardcore.
It's in full effect. It's been amazing. So definitely pull up to Alice's birthday party. And if you're a Virgo and you listen to this and you live in New York and you're not there, you're weird. Yeah. So shout out to all you guys. Shout out to all of our listeners.
Shout out to Fatherdude.
Shout out to Fatherdude. Thank you for joining us, man. Make sure you guys check out Fatherdude's new album and all the tour dates and stuff. Go to BrassTracks.com. He's going on tour with Brass Tracks, so definitely check a show out if you see your city listed, and listen to the music, man. It's amazing. And shout out to all of our subscribers, our followers. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. Shout out to all you guys that are on SoundCloud, iTunes, all that good stuff. We'll see you. Actually, next week I'll be out of town. So we have no show next week. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. We have some really, really special things in the works for you guys. So shout out to all of our followers. This is BLAPCHAT, episode 81, right, Josh?
Yep.
All right, episode 81, and we'll see y'all next time.
Later.
Peace.